Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Good evening, everybody. Let me sit this down. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to touch bases with everybody. Hey, Patrick, what's going on? Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to touch bases with everybody during the week and not just make this a weekend thing. I want to do this thing called Hadiths for the Hood. Now, a hadith is a story in Arabic. But it's a special story. It's not just those regular stories, bedtime stories. These are the stories of history, of divine history, that come from Islam and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I started using, the hadiths, or we could say teachings, these stories, my everyday life when I was in the joint and when I was going through my transitional period in that 9 years, going from being an all-out hustler, drug dealer, gang member, an all-out criminal. So, I went through a radical change. And, we all have to get to that point in our lives when we have to decide, who are we going to serve? Are you going to serve yourself and everybody else, or are you going to confirm to yourself that God, Allah, the Lord of all that exists, actually does exist? And I'm at that point in my life because I was at the end of the road of all of the worldly things. I had I had been with every type of woman you can think of. I had a little bit of money. I had a lot of fun. Had, I guess, what you can call as friends, close associates or whatever. And we did whatever we wanted to do, whenever we wanted to do it, all day, every day. So, I was still angry inside. I was still confused, completely confused. And then on top of that, my actions led me to prison. So I had to go back to the drawing board and figure out the game plan. Once I became Muslim, at first it was intriguing, but then it started to, it started to have to be applied, because I started finding myself inside of situations where I could use this information. This information was actually useful to me. So, I kept reading, and the more that I kept reading, the more life became clear. So, I want to share that experience with my people, because we need it. I'm the same way as anybody else. I have the same problems as everybody else. I'm broke. I'm oppressed. I work hard and don't seem to go nowhere. All the stuff that everybody is dealing with on a regular basis. But what helps me get through it is my teachings, and they are divine teachings. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to start reaching out weekly with some hadiths. And again, hadiths are stories about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu or his companions, his disciples, how they handled different life situations. And God put them through the most hardship, the type of hardship where they were, one hadith is when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu and his companions, they used to be so hungry sometimes that they used to have to tie a rock around their stomach just to compress their stomach, closer to their back, or compress the walls of their stomach closer together, so that their stomachs would be fooled into thinking that there's something in there, and it really isn't. So they went through that type of hardship, and God promised those individuals paradise, and they had complete and total peace in this world, which is something that everybody seems to want but we're looking in the wrong places for it. We're looking more towards materialistic things and situation in order to get that inner peace. And it doesn't come from this world. Inner peace does not come from this world. If you walking around and you meet a person and say, "Oh, I'm at peace, brother. I'm blessed," or nobody really knows if they're blessed or not. We'll figure that out once we get to the day of judgment, once we cross over. But you can't reach a place of peace if you're using this world to try to give yourself that. It's just like when you very, very, very hungry. When you're very, very hungry, man, you'll eat a cow, literally. And once you're done, that feeling goes away, and then it comes right back, and it's bothering you again. And then it's just a rat race. It's like a dog chasing its tail. You just forever trying to chase this momentary happiness. But the way, and you're doing it by using things in this world to try to give yourself a complete mental, spiritual, and financial satisfaction. You can't do it like that. And the state of the world and the state of society is proven that we can't get it that way. We have all the toys and all the trinkets that history has never seen before. We got airplanes, we have satellites, we got the computer, we have the internet, we got the toys that go with the computer and internet, we got PS4. We can have all the fun. We can drink, we can smoke, we can, hang out and have as much sex as we possibly want. And still, you see wars all over the world. You see murder all inside of the society. People stealing on every level of society. So evidently, people aren't happy on the inside, and it's proven to show forth in the broader society. So the hadith that I'm going to use this week for reaching out is a hadith about backbiting. Now, I ain't gonna quote the actual hadith because as Muslims we don't like to misquote the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that we don't bring innovation into the religion. Now, as you know, many of the other religions have so much innovation in it that you can't even tell what the original message of that prophet was. So the Muslims have a rule that we don't quote the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam unless we actually quoting, which is it's all in Arabic, and maybe one day, I'll do it, but it's not really relevant to the people who watch my live stream. So I was going to go over the general idea of the hadith. The hadith is about backbiting. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a Muslim, a servant of God, one who is in submission to God, is the one who the people are safe from his hand and his tongue. So I'm going to focus on the tongue. And there was another hadith when he kind of went into detail about the tongue and not to say things to another person that would hurt them. And so one of his friends, one of his disciples asked him and said, well, what if I'm telling the truth about that person? And then the discussion kind of continued, and the Prophet ﷺ responded in a manner, something like, if it was true what you said about him, then you've dishonored him. If it's not true, then you have slandered him. And slander is a whole different category of violations with the tongue. So I found this to be necessary for this first, I guess, so-called outreach or series of hadiths for the hood, because hey, there go my coach. What's up, Coach? Coach Keith, what's going on? But I found this very necessary because we're in the social media age, and everything is talking. Everybody's saying all kinds of stuff. Everybody knows what we see on Facebook and what we see on Instagram and all these other grams and social media sites or whatever. It's just all talking, and this person talking about that person talking about this person, and so on and so forth. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us divine guidance from God himself to not say anything bad or wrong to me. Now, you can be constructive in your criticism with an individual, but there's even an art to that. And the best way to deal with that is just not say anything at all. Assalamu alaikum, big brother. And the best thing is just not say anything at all. Just try to lead with your actions and wait for an opportunity and kind of bring it up in a way that a person won't be offended. But it's most needed that we apply this principle to today's society, because people have been killed over words. Now, I see some guys Facebook posts, and then I look at the comments, and they got gun emojis going towards each other's comments, and whenever I see you, and then they about to see each other like probably later on that day, or any other time, because all these people live in the same city and they live in the same vicinity of each other. So everybody's misusing their tongues against each other. So this is a thing that's extremely relevant to what we have going on today. We got all these talk shows that live off of slander. They can start. You got blogs and all these YouTube channels and stuff that'll just make stuff up about people and douse the air with insecurity. When you have individuals or groups of people who just making up lies, who just spreading slander and backbiting, this person said this, so they go and say that, and then all the back and forth. So, what did they? They don't like something that somebody did for whatever reason. Most of the time, it's jealousy, and they go to another person who knows this. Go to some other people who knows this person, and then they just go and start to try to bring down this person's character and dishonor them. This is a very, 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 very dangerous aspect of sociology, because the words are more dangerous than the guns and then the violence and the other types of crimes that are connected to the words, because the words are the initiator. The words are the igniters. This is the igniters of all these conflicts. So if people put their egos to the side and just hunker down a little bit and just settle down, just back up away from the world and everything in it. And I know everybody wants to back up from the world, because that's all people do on Facebook. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Michelle. I know everybody wants to back up from the world, because that's all they do is complain about the world. Every time you turn on Facebook, that's all people do is talk about, all this, all that, and they think I'm stupid, but I see what you're doing, and I'm single, and this person was just putting up pictures last week, and they was with the person, and then you see all these girls is talking this about me, and these girls is doing that, and these girls is doing this, all this going back and forth, and it's all behind people's back. So the Prophet Muhammad SAW knew. Now, as y'all know, people are committing suicide because of the social media backbiting. And the Prophet Muhammad SAW did away with this illness a long time ago. So we're not, like I said, settling down and backing up away from the world and focusing on ourselves and our families and saying, man, how am I going to be the best human being, the best person that I'm going to be? How am I going to perfect myself? And which doesn't mean to be perfect, because you can't hold yourself to the society's standard. Now, how am I going to, be the best individual that I'm going to be? How am I going to do that? So the way that we can do this is by listening to what God asked us to do, which is not gossip, not spread slander, not backbite. The Prophet Muhammad SAW, he told us that if you say something truthful about a person, then you're dishonoring him. Now, let's just focus in on that part. Now, if you nowadays, it's cool to expose somebody. It's cool. Yeah, I told him, and then I went and hollered at him, and then I said, yeah, man, dig this, boom, 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 boom. And then, you dressing the person all the way down, you make that person feel insecure at that time. And especially if it's in front of people, or if it's not in front of people and it's, about him to some other people, it's going to get back to him sooner or later. So when it gets back to this individual, now they have to defend themselves. You've dishonored this person, so now you have to honor this. So this person has to restore his honor. And if an individual doesn't restore his honor, then he's destroyed in society, because everything is about your reputation in society. Everything. If you're a known shyster, then that's who you are, and that's how people are gonna deal with you. But if you're a known good person and you do everything that you can for people or whatever, that's what your reputation is gonna be. So people are gonna deal with you. They're gonna accept you. They're gonna help you. They'll be there for you. They'll want you to be there for them. All that. And so if a person comes and tries to dishonor your name, it don't matter if it's at the workplace. It don't matter if it's just on your street where you live, if it's with a group of friends that you hang out with all the time. If you have a person that's saying something bad about another individual unnecessarily, then you just poison the air with insecurity. Now, when you poison the air with insecurity, this drags everybody else into it, because whoever's connected to that person that was slandered, then they feel involved. And now they're against this person, and then that person and his people that they're close with, they're against these people. And now you got the shaitan doing winning. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He's going to throw mankind off of the straight path. And that's exactly what we see. But it's because people don't really know about the divine principles, like what I'm talking about now. One of them being not backbiting and not saying bad things about people, whether it be true or whether it not be true. Now, if the thing that you said about a person was untrue, now you just completely slandered them. Now you just made something up about somebody, and forget restoring a person's honor or their respect inside of society. Now they just want to get you. Now, it might be any kind of way. They might start doing the same thing to you. And then you just got this going back and forth, which is what you see nowadays. And you got social media sites, and you got the people who are on social media, and everybody is just throwing lies, throwing lies everywhere. Why is it not okay to lie? In Islam, one of the greatest sins is to lie. And everybody does it. Now, if you lying because you got to get through a hard time, then you're all right. And Allah is the most forgiving, the most merciful. But if you just lying maliciously and just sowing discord inside of the society and the world, you're the lowest of human beings. Lies get people killed. Lies get people put in jail. Lies break up families. Lies destroy individuals' psyche, and they end up committing suicide. And you see it all the time. All these kids being bullied on cyberbullied, they're being bullied in school, and the stuff is not true, and they don't feel like they can win. So they just like, forget it. What am I here for? This life is not desirable for me. And the worst case scenario, a worser condition, are the people who are a different type of suicidal, when they don't care about life because life is not good for them for these types of reasons, and they won't take their life. They'll just take everybody else's life. They're in pain, so they want everybody else to feel pain. It's an old saying called hurt people hurt people. So when you have an individual that has been victim to this thing that God the Most High forbade, slander, backbiting, when you have a person that has been a person or some people that's been victim of this, they don't really know how to restore themselves at all. So the only way that they know how to deal with it is just to be angry. And when they angry, everything that every run-in that they have with a person, they're going to take that opportunity to hurt that person just with some words, if it's just that. Or if it's just not saying anything. A person might be trying to be cool and be like, hey, man, what's going on? And such. And they just might be acting all kinds of funny towards it because they angry on the inside. And you see people putting up posts all the time on all these social media sites talking about how much they don't mess with the other person. I don't mess with girls because girls are like this. I don't mess with dudes because dudes be like this. That's not the way life is supposed to be. Everybody on guard against everybody. That's not the way it's supposed to be. But going back to the topic of the discussion, if we put our egos to the side, and we're in the age of the ego, if we put our egos to the side and just looked at what God the Most High asked us to do, we can make some major adjustments to our lives, and we can live in peace. And nobody has to fight anybody. Nobody has to dislike anybody. Everybody will help each other up. Everybody will lift each other up. There's stories inside of the Islamic history when one story that I like to draw on is when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions, they were doing really, really, really bad. You know, they were starting a whole, they hit the reset button on humanity. Literally, they took things from the lowest depths, hit their reset button, and started from scratch. Literally, like all of them moved out of their hometown. They relocated, and they found some grass, and they just built on top of that grass. Now, the significant thing in this story is the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he asked the people, you know, to provide for this endeavor. And his right hand man, well, one of his left hand man, I'll say that, you know, he brought half of his wealth, half of his money for the cause, for the struggle. He brought half of his money, and his best friend brought all of his money, everything he owned. He put it towards the evolution. Now, I guess you could say revolution in that sense, but he brought it towards the evolution of bettering mankind. And then the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he told him, he didn't do the politician thing and take the money and say and shake his hand and say you're going to be great. He didn't do that. He told the man to take his stuff back. He told Abu Bakr, he was like, man, I'm not taking that. And he was like, Abu Bakr, you know, they kind of went back and forth. He's like, no, I'm giving this to the cause. And Abu Bakr, he asked Abu Bakr, he said, so what are you going to leave for your family? You know, how you going to feed them? And you know what Abu Bakr told the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in front of everybody? He said, I'm going to feed them. I left for my family God and God's messenger. This is the type of people that are inside of Islamic history. This is what they did to bring back life, to bring back humanity, to restore rights to individuals, to remove oppression from the world. We got to go back to that mindset. We got to sit down, put what we like to the side, and if you believe in the Most High, then you must believe the Most High knows better than you do. Not you know better than the Most High. The Most High knows better than you. And you got to go to the person who he communicated with and talk and not talk to him, but find out, you know, what was said to him. And once you find out what was said to him, then you can find out where you fit in with all these things. And this also goes back to the point of this live stream. One of those things that God communicated to his messenger was not to backbite and not to use the tongue in an inappropriate manner, which none of us are innocent of. All of us are very, very, very guilty of misusing the tongue. I know I am for a fact, but I understand that there's a struggle with that. I understand the way about how to go about doing fixing that problem. And there's some individuals, I know some people who you will never hear them say anything bad about anybody. It don't matter what. It don't matter what. None whatsoever. So I'm going to close this up. I just wanted to reach out to the people and throw some security in the cyber world as opposed to add to the insecurity that's out there. So we see a lot of negativity on the social media, and in this social media, we can't let the Satan, we can't let him have this social media and all these provisions that we take comfort in. They all come from Allah. They don't come from the Satan. So we can't let the Satan have the provisions that Allah gave to us, and we cannot succumb to that lower self that the Satan can attack. We can't. Now, if we do, you got to get back on square. You got to get back on your deen. You have to. But you have to first and foremost compromise the ego. You got to go against yourself sometimes for the greater good. And once the greater good starts happening, you'll be able to find yourself inside of the greater good. The greater good don't come from yourself. The greater good is from you put yourself to the side, and then the greater good just, there's room for it to grow. And then you can find a place inside of the greater good, and then you got some peace. And the last thing is when you struggle not to say anything bad about people, no matter what. You don't gossip. You don't slander. Even the Prophet Muhammad SAW forbade people from listening to it. Like if a person began to, hey man, what happened to, hey man, what's up with dude? You be like, hold on, bro. Like I'm not finna have a conversation about that man or that woman if they not here. And if it's gonna be something negative, if it's not gonna be a constructive conversation about whatever happened, bro, we're not gonna do that. And I'm talking about, I done had so many situations, especially in prison. Guys in prison gossip way more than females do. Sorry if that's a stereotype, but that's reality. They gossip way more. And as soon as especially in the Muslim community, as soon as one of the brothers was in the chow hall and he might have been eating a hot dog, somebody assumed that it was pork. You got 5 people at my door like, hey, Kabir, hey, Kabir. I come hollering, what's going on? They're like, man, y'all ain't allowed to eat pork. I'm like, let's cut it. I ain't eating no pork, so let's cut it right there. so you funny, Michelle. But let's try to nip that in the bud. If you see something, some negative talk going on, where in any of your circles, even if it's on social media, divert the conversation. Throw the monkey wrench on that and try to bring the positivity out, and it'll work better for you. People will deal with you on a better level. I got a lot of respect everywhere that I go because I try to do and say the right as much as I possibly can. I have my moments. Everybody knows that I have my moments, and just about every time that I've had a moment, I went back and apologized and said I was out of turn. As a matter of fact, what's going on, Coach Kenny? We was at practice last week before we had our game, and I had to apply this same principle that I'm trying to share with everybody else. And in our practice, it was a lot of frustration because guys were playing around a lot. And, a youngster on the team spoke up, and he was like, man, we just happy to see each other. That's why we playing so much. And I spoke in a manner that I should not have spoke to not only a youngster, not only a teammate on my football team, and not only now a friend and close associate, but to a person, period. I cursed at him. I was like, because I was frustrated, I cursed at him. I was like, nah, forget that, man. We getting some work. We trying to focus right now. And I fronted him out in front of everybody. But I felt bad. That very next morning, I inboxed the brother and I apologized. And I told him, I was like, man, I was all the way out of pocket. I should not have done that. And I won't do that again. I won't let that happen again. I apologize. And he accepted my apology or whatever. But if you falter, if you slip, that's where you got to be with it. As simple as that. That's where you got to be with it. Because why sitting around making enemies for yourselves? Every enemy that you make or every person that you turn away from you, that's a broken bridge. Every friend that you make and every close associate that you make, that's a bridge that's built. Because everybody is good for something. I don't care what it is. Everybody's good for something. And that's what society is. That's what community is. So when you're able to commune with certain individuals, then you'll be able to, move around inside of the world a whole lot better. You'll be able to network a whole lot better. And you may be the one for something, but you've made people feel a certain kind of way, so they're not going to open that door for you to be able to walk in and do what you do. That's the way life works. That's why I put the post up earlier today that said the facts are less important than the feelings. Because you could be telling the person the truth all day. Just like with backbiting and slandering. You could be, somebody did something so crazy, and you might be like, man, what's wrong with dude? Oh, man, he didn't, boom, 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 and you go on, and then you just put gas on that fire, and then it just turns into a conflagration. Now you just ruined that individual. Now, if you ruin an individual, then that individual will work to ruin other individuals. and now we live in a state of ruin. This is what's wrong, a part of what's wrong with our society. So I'm gonna close up. Let me see what the sister said. Jazakallah for a good reminder. Hey Dave, what's going on? Dawood, salam alaikum. He said, we all mess up, so turn around and say good and try to do something good for them. Don't need to tell them that we said something negative about them. Just try to make it up. Yeah, that's true. The Islamic, that's actually the Islamic law. Some of the scholars say you shouldn't say it. You know, if you did do something bad to that person, you shouldn't say, because it'll egg it on. And some of the other ones say that you should go back and you should fix it. Or it's not fixed. So it depends on the situation. If it quiet down and you see that person let it go, then you can just start doing good to that person, and then they'll see that you have some remorse in you. You might have some individuals that need that hard apology and need to know that you're not against them, and that you was in your emotions at that time and not inside of your intellect. So I'm going to close up because it's time for me to pray. Thank y'all for tuning in. Let's keep everything as positive as we possibly can. There was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot. But if I said anything wrong, it's from me. It's not from God, and it's not from his messenger, nor is it from Islam. And if anybody has any corrections or additions to make to anything that I said, please feel free to do so. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله ولا إله إلا الله.